Hey pals, it's Emmy. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. Today I am doing my top 10 all-time favorite books, which is technically a lie because I do have 3 bonus books because I'm incapable of making decisions. 2 of them are like nostalgia picks that don't really live up to the other 10 on the list, but own such a big piece of my heart that I feel like I have to include them anyways. And one of them was so close to being the 10th book. It barely got knocked out. These are in order. I tried very hard to put them in order, which was very stressful. So yeah, I'm gonna start from the 10th book and go up. So the book that comes in 10th place is the Broken Earth trilogy, and to be specific, the 5th season, the first book. This book I read this year. Almost all of the books on this list I read this year, but it was incredible. Like, I had pretty high expectations because everyone on Twitter was like raving about it and talking about how amazing it was, and it did not disappoint at all. I'm terrible at giving descriptions of books, so I don't even really want to try, especially with this book. So I will leave the Goodreads links for all of these books in the description if you're interested in learning what they're about. But yes, that is the book that comes in 10th. The book that comes in 9th place is Girls of Paper and Fire. I think people that follow me on Twitter probably know how much I love this book. I talked about it quite a bit after I read it, but yes, I love everything about this book. It also helps that it has LGBT representation in it, and not just like a side character. The 2 main characters are the representation, so that just, it makes me so happy, honestly. I am a huge fan of female-led, really like badass books, and honestly I felt like that's what this is. She's not like the typical like fighter kind of badass, in my opinion. She's more like mentally she's badass. She's been through a lot, and she's just so strong, and it's incredible. And I love that it is a like woman who loves women that is that strong. It makes me very happy. The book in 8th place is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I love this book with all my heart. Anyone that knows me probably already knows that. I've talked about it on my channel a bit. Of course, I've mentioned this before, but I do have chronic pain and chronic illness, and reading about a character that suffers with that and suffers pretty similarly to how I do, it was just really powerful to me, and I liked seeing a story like that was a romance, like a positive thing, and like her getting the guy who understands and helps and supports her. Like, that kind of thing just makes me so happy, because when I think of things like chronic illness and chronic pain, my mind immediately goes to like the negative and the like struggles and hardship that comes with that. But reading a more positive book, it is like you cry. I like sob my eyes out, and there are negative points in it, but all in all it's a pretty positive book. So in the end, that's why I really love it. I love everything about it, honestly. A+. I still need to read Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I will get to it. The 7th book on my list, honestly, I didn't expect it to be this low. Physically kind of hurts me to say 7th and this book next to it, but The House in the Cerulean Sea. Recently this book has blown up pretty majorly in the book community, and lots of people have been reading it, which I am so happy about, because I went into this book blind. I saw it on Libby and just was like, this cover looks cool, I'll read it. Had no idea the genre, nothing, and came out of it just having a new favorite. And I love every single thing about this book, every character, like, I was so attached to by the end, and I sobbed. So if a book makes me sob, it's a good book. Sixth is a very recent read, but I very quickly became obsessed with it, and it just came out, I believe. It is Fable. Again, if you follow me on Twitter, you would know how much I love this book. I was never a huge, like, pirates kind of person. I was never super interested in books about characters on, like, ships, on water, that kind of thing. It just, the only thing I cared about was Pirates of the Caribbean. And I only really cared about that because Johnny Depp is in it. So I didn't really expect to like this book as much as I did. I had barely even gotten into the book and was like, oh my god, this is incredible. There is no way that this won't become a favorite by the end. And of course it did. And now I'm, like, so anxious for the next book and what will happen, but for now, Fable is incredible, and I am in love. Especially with Fable. 10 out of 10 would die for her. The fifth book is Throne of Glass. Well, the Throne of Glass series. Honestly, I was looking at the books and was thinking, and I have no idea which one is my favorite. I like don't know how to choose. I feel like it changes depending on the day that you ask me, so I'm just gonna say the series as a whole. They're the series that got me into young adult fantasy and what really, like, kick-started my reading journey, so they hold a huge spot in my heart. I know that, like, Throne of Glass is kind of one of those series that people either love or hate. I am definitely one of the people that love it with all my heart. I do see the issues with it, I do want to say that, but yeah, it has a lot of the things that I really like in books, and especially, like, fight scenes, so yes, that is my number 5. Number 4 is the Lunar Chronicles, specifically winter if I had to choose one of them, but the Lunar Chronicles as a whole, that was also one of the series that I read pretty early on in me being, like, really into reading and reading a lot, and I reread it, like, last year, I think, and they still live up. Like, I can't see myself ever not loving these books and these characters. I like, can't really even think of anything that I don't like about these books. I don't see a ton of people talking about these. I don't know if I'm just, like, not following the people that do talk about them, or if they're just, like, old news now, but I feel like they're kind of underrated. And they're fantastic. And Winter specifically, just so much happens, and I love Winter, the character, with every fiber of my being. I want to protect her. Yes, love. I have to say, also, one of my all-time favorite male characters is also from this series, which is Carswell Thorne. I love him with every fiber of my being. I think I already said that. But yes, he is incredible, so if you haven't read these books, read them just for him. Alright, top 3, which was honestly my hardest, like, decision for the numbers, especially second and third. But third is Crooked Kingdom, or Six of Crows in general. Crooked Kingdom, just, I don't even know, I don't have the words for how much I love Crooked Kingdom. I had a kind of difficult time getting into Six of Crows. and it took me a while to really get into it. It took me a really long time to read that book when it's not that long, and usually doesn't take me like a super long time to read a book that length, but it did. And once it got like halfway through, I was like speeding through it and was in love, but for Crooked Kingdom, like right off the bat, I was obsessed. So that's why Crooked Kingdom over Six of Crows. Once again, this series has one of my all-time favorite male characters, which is Jesper. It also has one of my all-time favorite female characters, Inej, so had to put it high up on the list. And I'm sure like everyone watching this will already know about this series or duology, because who doesn't know what Six of Crows is at this point? Okay, the top two, I'm sure pretty much everyone that watches my channel should already know, but in second is The Starless Sea. This book destroyed me. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, especially since I didn't like Night Circus, which I am gonna try to reread since I DNF'd it like twice. Which I have said in a previous video, but I will get to it eventually. But yes, The Starless Sea just, I felt 100% transported when I was reading it. I felt completely invested in the story. All the characters, just immediately I was attached to them. The story was just so beautifully written as well. Like, I don't even know how to describe the writing, but it's just beautiful and magical and really like makes you feel like you're in that world. So A+, 10 out of 10, love that book with all my heart. And finally, my number one all-time favorite book ever, no one's surprised, Strange the Dreamer. This book is my everything, my number one, my life. I even have like would die for Laszlo Strange or something in my Twitter bio, so Laszlo Strange, all-time favorite character in anything. I love him so much, and it helps that he was like a librarian-ish type. I don't even know. He worked in a library. Oh my god. Can you tell that I love this book? Because I'm getting excited and like stumbling over my words. Yeah, everything about this book is just everything I love about books, especially fantasy books. The characters are incredible, especially Laszlo. The story is beautifully written, like Laini Taylor's writing. So good. I can't say enough about Strange the Dreamer and how much I love it and how much I think about it like every day. I'm honestly thinking about getting a tattoo. I do have a design planned, but I kind of want to keep it a secret until I get it, which probably won't be anytime soon because it's a pretty large design, so I need to save a lot of money. But I'm very excited, and you can tell that I really love this book because I have a tattoo planned. I also have a tattoo planned for The Starless Sea, so that is why they're my... Actually, you know what? I also have a Six of Crows. Okay, that's how you can tell that they're my top three, is the fact that I have tattoos planned for all three of them. And now the bonus ones. So in 11th is Heartless. I feel like the reviews I've seen on this book are pretty mixed. People either really like this book or just kind of like full on hate it, and I loved it with all my heart. Like my dad also read it and was like iffy about it, so whatever. I honestly don't even really know what it is about that book, but I think about it a lot, and I'm like obsessed with the cover, and just it's fantastic. And the only reason why it isn't in my top 10 is because the Broken Earth trilogy I happened to read recently and just kind of knocked it out, but still A+. 12th is the Maximum Ride series. I honestly couldn't tell you which one is my favorite because I don't really remember what happens in each book, but I think I've mentioned this before, but it was one of my very first series that I ever read. It's one of the books that I read and realized that I loved reading. Me and one of my childhood friends both read the books and were obsessed with them, and this is like kind of embarrassing and I don't really know why I'm telling you guys, but we used to like act out scenes, and not necessarily scenes that were actually in the books either. We would just like assign characters to ourselves and then like act out stuff and pretend we were them, and yeah, so if that says anything about how big of an impact it had on me as a kid. And of course, Holes. I've mentioned Holes in most of my videos, I feel like. Holes is the first book that I can remember reading and fully loving. I also love the movie. The movie is one of my favorite movies. And honestly, now that I think about it, I think I have memories of reading the second book. I think it's called Small Steps. More than reading Holes, but basically those two books just were the first books that I read and was like, oh my god, books are great and I want to read more. And yeah, so had an impact. Anyways, those are all of my favorite books and the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I feel like you guys probably already knew my list, but if you haven't read any of these, you should. If you have, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on these books are. Even if you don't really like the book, I still want to know. I want to hear it. I won't be offended, I promise. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!